Hi, everyone. I just have to check my sound because I'm on a different computer. I had such technical difficulties. Hi, everyone. Okay, you can hear that echo, so we know that's working. Okay, so let's have a few people join in the chat so I know everyone's there. I'm going to give it about 5 minutes or so because I know the notice just went out. Hopefully, see if I can make this bigger. Hopefully everything will work out as usual. I had to quickly download my software to my other computer. And my computer's behind me, so I'm going to make sure I try to turn each time I speak so that you're able to hear me okay. Let me get this mouse out of there. That mouse is useless. I'm going to get myself confused which mouse goes to what. The other computer, so I made it here in plenty of time. Wow, 10 minutes. And I've had to restart my computer 3 times. So I think I'm going to just give it the old shut off. So I had to switch over to my regular bigger computer that is a little more inconvenient to hook everything to. And maybe if this works out well, we'll just stay on this one from now on because the other ones drive me crazy. I swear I could, and you guys probably have the same thing. Start your computer up 20 times, and the one time you need it to start quick, it's doing something update. I've shut the updates off. It wants to update anyways. It's not telling me what the story is. So that's that. We're making this bag today. I feel like my light is dark. Okay. We're making this bag today, this little bag, and it's about 4 inches. Oh, okay. Let me move this back this way. I'm out of places to put things. I put things where they don't tip over. Oh, hi, Alberta. How you feeling? And maybe if I can, bear with my arms being in your way. I usually can watch my screen, but it's behind me. So yeah, this is just not working. Oh, hi, Cindy. Isn't it the cutest little bag? I think it is. So of course it matches. Look, I gotta find. Give me a second to get my bearings here. So let me move all this stuff down. So there's our sanitizer holder that we made last week. So this is a so you can get an idea if you made your sanitizer holder, you get an idea about size wise. And it's about an inch deep and about 2 inches wide. So let me put those there so you can see them. Let me push some of this stuff back a little further because I'm going to need my pressing mat at some point. My computer won't even let me shut it down for Pete's sakes. Okay. So, I'm glad you're feeling better, Alberta. Okay, I'm trying to do 80 things at once here, but that's okay. We'll wait just a couple more minutes. I don't know what time. It's almost 2 o'clock. I have been at this computer since 1:15. start, restart, and it's so slow. So I know there's some kind of update jamming it up. Excuse me. Okay, so got a Microtex needle, 7010 needle in my machine. What do I need? I might need a ruler. Trying to get my tools out while I don't think I need much for tools now that I think about it. Okay, let me put that up there. So on this one, I don't know if you can tell. Oops, sorry, keep dropping it. You see, now I get up in the non-light department. That little loop is a piece of zipper. Oh, see the teeth on this side? Right on this side? There we go. See the little teeth are on this side. So that was a little piece of leftover zipper. And then I put the, hi Lynn, and then I put a regular tab. So we'll do a regular tab. So in looking at this, let me see. I don't know what the story is. I have enough light here, honest to God, I can land an airplane. So in looking at this, you see how I have the zipper coming all the way around. So I wanted that in this case because that opens the bag up, maybe. So that really opens that bag up a little wider. And see, I got my whole mask in there. I know it's orange, it just happened to be that way. So that fits that mask, and that's it. This mask is probably a little bigger and bulkier than what a lot of people wear, the one with the pleats in it, because I have an inside and an outside, and I also have a pocket if you want to put a piece of flannel for a filter in, because originally when we were doing masks, they insisted you had to have a filter of some sort. So this is bulkier than probably what I've seen most people wearing lately, with the pleats in it. But it'd be the same or a little lighter. And if you were using those little, the little disposable ones, you probably could get a few in there. But that fits in. There's plenty of extra room in there. It's like a little hot dog roll. Couldn't remember where the zipper was. So having the pole here to hook this on is good, but having the pole down this end, so because I find that I like to have the pole when I'm opening the zipper, and then I like to have the other pole when I'm closing the zipper. So we got one at each end. You can do them both the same, but like I said, I did this one up here with a piece of zipper, and then just our regular one at the bottom. So let me put that. Hey, Rhonda. Someone Nancy with you today? It's Saturday. And also, you have to let me know if you can hear me okay. I'll try to keep turning around because the microphone, I didn't have time to get the other microphone out. So the microphone's on the computer, which is behind me. So I'm going to try to keep turning so that I'm talking in towards the microphone instead of it behind me. Excuse me. So this bag's a little different than what we've done on the other ones. I try to make sure they're always a little different. So this time we're going to have no seam showing, no zigzagging. So everything is, I'll unzip this 400 times. So everything is finished on the inside as well as the outside. Okay? And I think if you were making the set, that easily a fat quarter of each color, shoot, you might even be able to get two sets out of one, so it'd be two fat quarters, one of each color. Because I still have, and that's why I grabbed it to do this one, because I still had fabric left from when I did that little guy. And they're quick enough, be great to give to people for Christmas. Little extra gift. Okay? Now, just before I forget, if you're going to use one of these lobster clasps, hi Christine. Oh, sewing Nancy's busy. Oh, it's all right. So if you're going to use just the lobster clasp, I think I can show it on this one. You have to put the lobster clasp on the loop before you sew the loop in, because a lobster clasp doesn't have any opening. And this is one of those twirly ones. I think you can get them just about anywhere now. For some reason, I have two different sizes, or two different kinds. You see, one is skinnier than the other. So I don't remember buying them twice. But, oh yeah, and I have two different key rings. Look at that. So I think this lobster clasp belongs on this key ring because this one's heavier, this one's lighter. But you can see better on this lobster clasp. See how it's flat along there? So you would have to put this through your tab before you sew the tab in. But I think for the most part, just get some key rings and then you don't have to worry about it. I go for the non-worry. Okay, so there we are. So our fabrics are our front piece. Good thing I cut these ahead. Our front piece, and let me move this, back this up a little bit. Oops, sorry. Okay, you just get my arm in there. But now you can at least see this whole thing. And here's the computer that doesn't want to work, right? So we'll just get him out of the way. He doesn't get to be in the picture. There we go. Okay, so this first piece is your front. And it is 7.5 by 6. 7.5 inches by 6. The 6 is across the top. That's where the zipper's going to go. And the 7.5, because you know how we've done our bags before, where we bring this around, we're going to do the same thing. The difference being is our lining pieces. We want 2 lining pieces, okay? 6, because it's the same width across, 6 by 4, 6 by 4. Okay, so if you need to go ahead and get those cut, I'll go a little slow here at the beginning, just in case people are just getting on, because it is so late. I can't believe it's 2 o'clock. And so it might give everybody a chance. So you see how little it takes. This is what they say. This is 7.5 by 6, 4 by 6, 4 by 6. So the 6 is all the width of the bag. And it's 4 inches when it's done because we're boxing an inch up. Okay? And when you box it up like that, that helps you fit things in easier. Okay? And the zipper, let's see. I had a 20-inch zipper. I made the other bag. I used a piece of it, and here's the other piece, for the loop, and I still had 11 inches of zipper left. So I'm getting 2 bags out of this. It could be real squeezy. No, I can't get 3. That would be too much. So when I cut this zipper off, I made sure I stitched it at both ends. I put another pull on, and then I stitched it at both ends so that I don't have to remember that. You know how you're talking or doing something and you pull up and you pull it right off. So your zipper pull always goes on from the bottom of the zipper. So you have to cut this little tab right here. So if I'm putting another pull on, I'm going to cut this metal piece off, open the zipper a little bit, and you have to kind of work at it to get it on. The little pull zippers are a little harder than the bigger ones, but the bigger zippers, the bag zippers, would be the zipper would probably be as big as the bag. So So I believe that was a 20-inch zipper I had. Okay, so we just need some clips. So I'm going to grab my clips right here. I'll put everything with my arms all in your way. And like I said, Microtech 70 needle, 7010, regular sewing thread. We are going to be top stitching. So I'm just using a tan off-white. That's what I did here. You probably can't. Oh, there you can see it. See it on either side of the zipper? Okay. Just remember, the bigger the zipper, the easier something is to do. So I'm working with a smaller zipper, and I can't. Maybe I'll switch. I'll switch over because I want to show you. So when I work with a full zipper, I can undo this side for when we do the top stitching. And I could undo this, I'd have to pull it apart. But rather than we struggle with that and get you confused, we'll just work with what we have. A regular zipper. This one is, I think it's 12 inches. 14, I'm sorry. I think it's 12 or 14. Okay, so we're good to go. I got everybody in. I said hi to Cindy and Alberta and Lynn and Rhonda and Christine, and I think that's all that come in the chat. So anybody else, you're welcome to come in the chat. So we're going to get started. I'm going to put my pole on the left. I want to make sure that I have room enough. So I don't want to put my fabric too close where my pole is under my foot. Okay, so if I look here, oh, I need a zipper foot too. So if I look here, let's see. So I'm going to stay 2 inches away from the pole. Okay, so zipper is right side up. I'm going to go ahead and put my, can I move down a little more so I can reach? I don't have time reaching that far. Are we good there? Okay. I'll even see if I can turn it. So I'm going to put my lining fabric right side towards the zipper. Okay, so one lining fabric, and it's the 6-inch way, and you'll know because it should be the same width as this one. And I'm going to put my my top fabric right side down. Okay, I got that backwards. You know, I stop and think about something to get myself in a tizzy. So I'm going to flip it. The flat part of my clip is down because I want my zipper facing up when I sew. And I've moved it down just a little bit. And you can use pins if you want to. I find that because I fidget with it so much that by the time I get the pins in, I want to make sure that I'm lined up on this side as well. So we're making a zipper sandwich. The zipper is between the two fabrics. For some reason, I feel like I'm doing my lining backwards. Okay, and if you want to put another pin, clip in, you can, but you know, there's only 6 inches of fabric there. So let's get our zipper foot on. And for those of you that are just joining for the first time, there's our zipper foot. Every machine comes with one that looks of some sort, has a little clip on each side. We want to use the clip on the left. What you want to make sure you do, so you know which side is, when you put your zipper down, okay, do you see how this little edge right here, that sticks out a little further, that's got a tunnel in it. and that's what rides over the zipper teeth. Okay? My thread is getting all curly there. Okay. Come on, get back there. Regular stitch. Sorry, I have to adjust my chair. Regular straight stitch, so mine is 2.5. Yes, Christine, the lining is facing up. That's what I was sitting here going. I was having a moment. So hold on. Now you're making me double think this. Hold on. So if I open this, this is this way. So if I open this is how I check things if I forget. So if I open this, it's that way. This is gonna come up here, and this is gonna be here. So yes, it's right sides together. Yes. So whenever you're not sure of something, just fold it how it's supposed to be. So my lining and my top fabric are right sides together. Make sure that the zipper is right side up to the outside fabric. Otherwise your zipper will be on the inside. The zipper pull will be on the inside. So your zipper pull, you should always be able to see it up here. Okay? So let's go ahead and stitch that. And I'm going to start stitching and getting my foot in order before I get to the fabric. So I want to get that pull up out of the way. And my needle, let me see if I can make that not so bright. I'm feeling not so bright. I swear no matter which way I go with the numbers. Is that better, not so bright? No, that's too bright. Yeah, that's not so glary there. Of course, I can't see, but as long as you can see. So I want to make sure that the teeth of my zipper, and especially just the right hand side of the zipper teeth, is under that little tunnel. My foot, the front part, like I call it the little ski in the front, shouldn't be on that zipper at all. It needs to be a little over so that when your needle goes in, your needle goes into the zipper tape. The zipper tape is what's on either side of the zipper. Okay? So let's get stitching. Oh, lost mine. It's going to be one of those days. Okay, and I didn't need to lock it because we're going to be doing seams. If you lock it, you lock it. So I want to open this up, and I want to make sure that I didn't stitch too close to my zipper. Oh no, I got a little piece of wayward thread there. Should be fine. Oh, well, you know what would help? Would help, I had this closed like this. So when I come across with my zipper, I'm running into my fabric. So I want to make sure both fabrics are over. That was kind of silly, wasn't it? And then I just always want to test to make sure. And generally, once you get this one right, you'll have your other one right. It's that first one. We tend to want to get really close. And these days, because the zippers are all so pretty, don't try to get quite so close. We don't need to have an invisible zipper. That's a different type of zipper, a different way to put it in. So, and I want to make sure that this back fabric is sitting straight and flat. And I give it a little pressing mat and get some more stuff out of the way here. Okay, so I want to make sure that I don't want to have it like, I don't want to have it up like this. So then I start stitching and I've got this crease of fabric, because that will get caught in your zipper. So you want to make sure your fabric is away from the zipper. And a lot of times I will make sure I put a pin in, so then I know that back fabric isn't getting into any trouble. Okay, but I'm going to give it a quick little press, just a little one. I'm trying to keep my iron away from my zipper pull. And my pin is heat resistant. Okay, so now we're just going to top stitch along here. So if I want to leave my zipper foot on the side it's on, I'm going to have to top stitch so that my zipper teeth are on the left again. So I'm going to move my pin a little bit down. And I'm top stitching about an eighth of an inch away from the edge of my fabric. So if I look down at my foot, I can see a little bit of fabric is going in that tunnel. And I can sew past the fabric onto the zipper, so it's fine, won't hurt anything. Okay, so now this side is done. I'm going to trim away these. I seem to have some long threads here. I want to trim them away just so they don't get caught in the zipper at some point. No sense asking for trouble. Okay, so first half is done. Now we're going to bring the top fabric up, and it's going over the zipper, because you remember every time we put a zipper in a bag, the whole zipper is always underneath fabric. You're never going to sew when it's like with zipper showing. Okay, so the zipper is faced up, fabric, we're just flipping it over. And let me move this. Well, that won't help. Will that be in your way? Yeah, there we go. Okay, I'm going to turn it over. Keep it lined up, and I want to make sure I'm lining up on my sides. Okay, my lining fabric is right side up. I'm going to take my other lining fabric, so it's right side to right side. But remember, I got to come up to the top of my zipper, so my zipper is totally underneath the fabric. And I want to make sure I line everybody up this way. Okay, so we're making another zipper sandwich. And I noticed I was a little off on this end. And remember, we're always sewing from the top the top of the zipper is shown. You know, you can see our hole. That's always face up. Okay. Let me just zoom in. See if we can zoom in just a tad more. No. Well, that's on. Okay. Oh, all right. Hold on. I'm looking at the wrong screen. That was my fault. See, I'm used to looking at. There we go. I'm used to looking at the screen in front of me. Now the screen in front of me is what you're seeing. So I apologize for that. I hope I didn't make anybody too dizzy. Okay. So now we do have to change our zipper foot to the other side. No, we don't, because we're going to come from. Let me see. We come from this. We can come from this way, so we can leave our zipper on the zipper foot on the same side. Now that I took mine off, okay. Because our teeth are on the left, so we're fine. I know I usually make you switch back and forth. And again, the front of my zipper is on the fabric. My needle is back on just the zipper. That gives me the chance to get myself squared away and straight before I get to the important part. And you should be the same distance as when you did the other side. And we want to make sure again that this side is all lining up. And so right, you know, a few stitches past the fabric is fine. Okay? So now we've got, here's our front fabric, here's our lining fabric. Okay? So we've got to do our other top stitching. So we'll open the zipper to do that. Just makes it easier. So see, when you have plenty of zipper, see how life is just so much easier. So we've already done this side. And yeah, I guess you could have waited and done this side and the other at the same time, but I think it's just as easy to get, you know, one side done and then do the other side. And I'm just going to give it a little crease. Just so I want to make sure that I'm nice and flat on this side. And I'm going to go ahead and put that pin in again. Pardon my head if it was in your way. I had to reach down for the pressing mat. And I can undo the zipper all the way down so everything is really out of my way. Because we have over the last few weeks, we have had some zippers where we got to get in those little, I call them tunnels. So this is an easier one. And I'm not going to spend too much time with my iron on my zipper because my zipper is plastic. Just enough to make it behave. And then we're going to go ahead and stitch the same, and we're going to come from this direction with the zipper teeth on the left, so that you can leave your zipper foot in the same position. I know I can hear you guys saying, why'd you make us change our zipper foot back and forth before? I don't have an answer. I don't have a good answer. It could have been it needed to be that way at the time. We'll go with that. I didn't put my hand back here to pull my fabric back. I was just kind of keeping it so it didn't angle off in each direction because I have nothing to hold on to over here. If you're ever back here pulling your fabric to make it work, you need a new sewing machine. Okay, so how are we doing so far? Good? All right, so let's just, I got myself tangled up here. Let's just close this for the moment. Okay, so now we need to work on our lining. And we're going to line it up at the bottom. And I'm going to use pins this time. And I want to put a pin in each side. But what I'm looking for, I need about a 2.5 inch opening. And mine's not perfectly in the middle. I'm okay with that. If you feel better for me to move it on, and make sure your sides are lined up. But if you'd like me to move it over a little, and I move this one over a little. And I'm just gonna, I see how I must have ironed my little corner, so it folded. So I'm just gonna touch that with the iron just so it keeps popping up on me. Okay. And I wanna make sure that my sides are lined up. So if I need to, we'll put a pin down here, and then on this side, a pin down here. Okay? Now, we're not sewing on the sides, we're only sewing along the bottom. And we're going to sew 2 times, once here. So I'm going to lock my stitch and go off to the end. Then I'm going to come here, lock my stitch, and go off to that end. Okay? Oh, and I'm going to switch to my regular foot. And I want to have pretty close to an exact 1/4 inch seam. If you noticed, we cut our backs 4 inches, 2 pieces 4 inches, so that would be 8 inches. The front is 7.5. So when we take a 1/4 inch seam here, that's a 1/4 inch off of each lining. That's our 1/2 inch to make it the same size as this. Okay? If your lining is a tad off, you're better off to have your lining a little skinnier than the front, than a little bigger than the front. But let's try to get as close as we can. So I want to make sure I start at the pin. So I'm going to get my fabric lined up. I'm going to use my wheel and come into my fabric right about where that pin was, and then I can take that pin out. I'm going to lock my stitch. So you can do 3 forward, 3 back, and go. And then just go to the edge. If you want to lock it, you can. You don't have to. Okay, now I'm going to turn it around. And so I can't sew from here down because my fabric's on the wrong side. So, but if I turn my fabric over, now my fabric's where it needs to be because I need the 1/4 inch here. That makes sense? So I'm going to go ahead and lock my stitch again. And again, 3 forward, 3 back is fine. Okay, so we have those 2 little short seams. One starts here and goes over, one's here. And this is about 2.5. Okay, I'm going to take these pins out before I forget about them. And now I want to press this. What I want to do is I want to press this open. And all that means is, see how I'm folding that side back? And I can run a line and fold this back so that now the piece in the middle where we haven't stitched will be the same size. Okay? So see how it's down? Now it's the same. So if you fold down each of the sides that you stitched, because that gives you your fold line, then that'll be good. And then I'm just going to turn this over and fold back. Well, let me see if I can do it this way. If we open this up, we can do it this way. So if we open this up, so the seam is, let me turn it here, hold on. Okay, so if we open this up so that the seam is open, which means each seam allowance is on its own side, we can go ahead and press that. So if it's easier for you to do that, the only thing you have to remember is now you put a crease there and you want to take that crease out. You don't want to leave that crease in. Okay? This is going to help us. This is going to help us later on when we turn it through to, when we turn the bag through and we want to close this up. Okay, so now what we want to do, let's get our tabs done. Okay, so the tab is, tab is 2 inches, 2 inches wide, 2 inches wide, and I did this one, this is about 3.5 inches long. I always make it extra long. And your tab can be whatever width you want it to be. We're going to fold it in half. Okay. So I can press that just like that. Or you can finger press it. Oh, my iron is so hot. And then we're going to open it. And we're going to bring each raw edge into that fold. And then it's going to be just as easy. It's hard to press that when it's like that. You're going to fold it in half. And see, we're folded back on that first line that we pressed in. So each of these folded edges should be lined up together. And again, you can finger press it. But today I got sometimes I don't have my iron nearby, so today I do. Oh. Okay? And we're going to stitch down each side about 1/8 of an inch. We want to stitch the side that's, excuse me, we want to stitch this side that's open first, come down this side, and then come down that side. And you can start a little ways in because this is way bigger than we need. And that's how I do mine. So that I can get my foot and my needle onto this. I'm not way at this edge. Okay, so let's get it stitched down each side. Then you don't have to lock the stitch. So let's see if you can see the distance that it is. Okay, and then I'm going to go right down the other side. Now, stitching down the other side, there you go. Stitching down the other side serves no purpose except to make them both sides look the same. That's all. So some people only stitch down one side, but I like to stitch down both sides. And I got a little extra bumpiness there, so I'm going to give it a little haircut. Now, we're going to fold it. So you have to pick which side looks prettier. Because there's always one side that looks better than the other side. So on this side, I can see a little bit of my back fold. So I'm going to use that to fold in. So this is my better looking side. Okay? And we only need about 2 inches. Let me move up here again. Let's see. Just to see how much you want sticking out. Now it's not going to stick out this side, but you can see how much you want sticking out. And I can see that maybe I want, well, I was going to say a ½ inch, but that doesn't give me a whole lot to hang on to. So I would think about 3/4 of an inch. So let me get a marking pen. I'm going to do green today for Christmas. So I want my loop is going to stick out 3/4 of an inch. So this is a marking pen that comes off with heat. Okay? So I've marked it. See my little mark there? And that's only a visual for me because what I want to do is I want to sew this down so that I'm not fidgeting with it later, but I don't want to sew up in this area. So I'm going to go down below where I made that mark and do it stitch across. And it's just to hold the 2 ends together, no other purpose. It'll be cut off at some point. Okay, so I did my little stitching. You see it right there. Oh. So my mark is here. My stitching is there. Just to hold the pieces together, I don't have to fuss around. Then I'm going to take a piece of zipper. And this is just like 1/2 of a zipper. So if you've got zipper way out here, and this is on the end, not the pull end, you can cut yourself off some from this if you want to. And it is about, I cut 2 inches. And I'm just going to fold it in half. And I'm just going to go ahead and stitch along near the bottom of this. Now don't get too close to the bottom because this frays really easy. Okay? And I'm going to stitch it from the side here's my teeth here. So I'm going to start stitching it from here. And I'm not going to try to go over those teeth because they're on top of each other. I'll do that later. So I just need to sew a little bit on the tape just to hold it together. Then you can go right over the teeth if you want to, but if you feel like you're having a hard time with that, it's not much to hang on to. So, and of course, my thread comes undone just when I had it in the perfect position. Okay, let's do that again. My zipper teeth are facing towards me, so I don't have to fight with those to get started stitching. So if you want to have like 3 inches to work with, that's fine too, because you can always get rid of some, but you can't add any. Okay, so I just stitched it, not the best stitching job, but I stitched it so I'm not fighting too much with it. But, I'm going to undo that because I really did a bad job of that. So I'm guessing maybe you ought to have 3 inches or so of zipper when you're fooling around with this. And I'm going to pull those little extra threads out of the way. do this again and pay more attention. I'm going to stitch back, even if it's not in the same exact place, just to hang on to it a little better. Okay? So see, stitching wasn't the best, but all this part is going to end up being cut off anyway. Okay, so we want to have those on standby. And now what we want to do is we want to open our zipper a little more than halfway. So I'm inside the tunnel. Okay, so if halfway is here, I'm here. I don't want to be way out here in my seam allowance area. Okay. So my zipper's here. I'm going to take this end, make sure everything's lined up. But I'm going to take this end and I'm going to do the same thing that I just did. I'm going to sew across here, trying to keep the zipper teeth as close together as possible. And I'm going to come in a little closer, so I'm going to be maybe a 1/4 inch away from the edge of my fabric. But sometimes it just helps to stitch that closed while you can see it and handle it rather than when you're doing the seam. So once I start stitching, my feed dogs want to pull that zipper apart, so I'm just going to push it together better. And again, that's just a convenience thing. So that, it's not, well, I'm going to have to stitch it twice because it looks like it took one big stitch over my teeth, which that wasn't helpful at all. So we better stitch that twice. There we go. So I just stitched that, and there's a little space there. Little space. But that's just to keep it together so I don't have to concern myself with it. Okay? So our zipper pull is a little past the middle. And now what we want to do is we want to make sure that our zipper is in the center. So if I take my lining should match up with my lining seam, should match up with the center of the zipper teeth. And there's a line you can see. All right? And I want to make sure I'm straight across here. So I'm going to do that, and I'm just going to put in a couple clips to hold that. Now my front fabric is out here out of the way. I want to do one thing at a time. Okay, then I want to come down to the other end, and you see why having this seam open is also a good way to line up your fabric to your zipper teeth. So again, I want to line up the seam of my lining with the center of my zipper teeth. Okay? You good so far? Now I can turn it over. I'm going to take my lining, and I'm just going to take my fingers. I'm trying to do this so you can see. Taking my fingers and opening this And it should match on each side with that lining that I just got right. And you want to line up in this direction as best you can. Okay, so what I'm going to do before I cut this zipper, well, I'm gonna stitch across here. And the reason is when I put another pull on, I gotta put it on from this end. So I'm gonna stitch across here about a half inch or an inch away from here, from my bag, and then cut that part of the zipper off. Oh, got my clip in the way. And go back across again. Okay? So I'm just gonna cut just a little bit above. Now I can use this, if I'm going to use this for my pull, I'm just going to pull this apart. And sometimes, rather than pull this way, it's easier to kind of pull it this way. Well, pull my teeth off. Pull it kind of this way. Instead of pulling it open, sometimes it's easier to do this. And then if you're going to use it, I would take like 3 inches and cut it, and then you have 2 pulls. So if you want to take a minute to do that, I'll wait for you. I'll do this one just so you can see. So I'm going to take 3 inches. So we'll do 3. So you can save this for more pulls. So I'm going to replace my little one I just did. And I'm just going to pull it apart. Okay? Now I can flip this over because I made it bigger. And I'm going to stitch across. I got more to hang on to this time. And remember, we're starting from the tape end of the zipper. Oh, for crying out loud with the unthreading here. Oh, almost dropped that. Okay, let's do this again. Okay, so now there's my little pull. Okay, so I've got a pull, zipper, and then I've got the other, tab, zipper, tab, fabric. So you can do yours both fabric, or you can do yours both zipper, whatever makes you happy. And I'll just wait a minute to make sure everybody's caught up. I can take a drink of my tea. So that's just the perfect temperature. Everybody doing okay? Rhonda, you can give me like the thumbs up or some happy face. You're good at doing that. Let me know you're still there. Okay. So I want my zipper one at the end where my pull is going to be closed. I'm looking for where my pull is. Okay, so when I close my zipper, I'm up this end. Oh, I'm up this end. Here, let me move that out of the way again. Okay, so when I close my zipper, I'm at this end. So this is where I want my zipper pull to be. So that's at the top of the bag, and I think this would probably get more wear and tear, and the zipper teeth seem like to me that would last longer. I can't say that I've done a study, but I think that'll work. Now, here's the key. We need to be inside. Move my clips over a little bit. We need to be inside the front of the bag, not inside the lining of the bag. Otherwise, your pulls will be inside your bag instead of outside your bag. So remember, I keep calling them pulls, I'm sorry. Your tabs need to be inside of the front of your bag. So your front fabric is here and here. See? So we're going to go in between the fronts. Okay? Oh, thanks, Rhonda. You're such a nice person. And again, we've got to put it in, fold in. Okay? And this would probably be a good place if you were using the Wonder Tape, the little tape. I'll have to get some out for another time. A Wonder Tape it's like glue between two pieces of paper, or your glue stick, but you can pretty well see that your tab needs to be in the center of your zipper teeth. Okay? I don't know if that will pin that thickness or not. Let's see. Because you got zipper and zipper pull, and oh yeah, that worked all right. All right, and you want to make sure that we have some hanging out that we can see it, to keep an eye on it. So I never put a tab in that's equal to my fabric line, because sometimes it's a little rascal and it'll go down further than you want. So I always make sure I have like a 1/2 inch or so sticking up past my fabric so I can keep an eye on the little fella. Okay? So remember, we're between the outside fabric, the front fabric. Then the other end, I'm going to put my little tab in, and I drew that line. Remember the line I drew? Now that line I'm going to make equal to the, I'm going to make it equal to the fabric edge. And the fold is going inside. Like if you're putting them to bed for the night. So here's can you see my little line right there? So that line is going to be equal to the fabric, or even a little bit in. And again, you see how I have this extra out here? I don't care if I have it 4 inches extra. That's fine. I just want to make sure I have plenty extra that I can keep an eye on what that little tab's doing. And it's easy to line up because it's going to line up to the center of your zipper teeth. Okay, so I'm going to make this one, it feels a little short. I'm going to make it a little longer. So mine's about, I don't know, might even be closer to the inch. I do this every time. We always end up making it longer than I need to. Excuse me. And let's see if I can pin that, because that's a lot to pin. That's 4 layers of fabric. And zipper, and fabric, more fabric. And I'm only going to pin it until I get close to it. Now, I can easily stitch up to here and stop and put this pull in and continue on. So I can still fidget around with this if as I'm going along it should move. Because that is a lot to pin. So we're gonna go straight across. We'll lock on each end. So I would come in 3, back 3, go, and then 3 back and stop. Okay? And again, 1/4 inch seam, and everybody should be lined up. All your fabrics should be all lined up together along here. And I think I might have my pin a little too close for my foot, so I'm going to take that out because my pin is going to be right where my foot is going to ride across there. Now, make sure, because I did this on one of mine, make sure that this fabric, you can feel that there's no wrinkles, no problems, because you can't see everybody underneath. And here, if you want to take a little more than a 1/4 inch seam, you can. It's up to you. If you feel like it's, kind of jaggedy on the ends. And I know I took my other clip out, but my fingers are right here. So I'm going to go 3 forward, which is probably more than 3. So 3 or 4, and back. I'm getting near my tab, so I'm just going to peek underneath. Remember we made that line. Yep, there's the line. And as we get up closer, remember we can use our little knob. So I'm up right where the front of my foot is now over where that tab is. I'm going to push that button in. Let's get it this way. I'm going to push the button in, and if it doesn't go in, just push down on the front of your foot. Okay? Well, and I have to hang on to that as I start to sew. Once I start to sew, I'm good to go. And then it will pop open when it's done. Okay, I'm going to get to the end. I'm going to go back about 5. Because then I come forward 1 or 2. And, wrong button. Use my foot and cut my thread. I tell you over and over, I don't like to cut my thread out on the end. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and do the other side. Same exact thing. So I'm always using my hand wheel to get my needle close to the, so I know I'm in the fabric where I need to be. 3 forward, that was about 10. Follow back about 5. Okay, I'm going to take that pin out that's holding my zipper tab. And when I did, I held onto my tab. I want to make sure that I keep that tab straight. So I just reached right here and I could feel it was not lined up. And you know what? Now that I'm thinking about it, let's go back across one more time. Because that tab is where you're going to be yanking on the thing all the time. So let's go back across it. So I'm going to go to the end, twirl around, back across. Okay, and then lock the stitch. And I think I'm going to go back to my other side and go across one more time. So I don't have to be at the very edge. I can be on there a little bit. I want to line up with my previous stitch, and I'm just going to lock it in place. And then lock it again. So there's a perfect example. You go, oh shoot, I should have I should have double stitched that or triple stitched that. We'll just go back and do it. We always feel like we can't go back. It's like the end of the world. Okay? So now I'm going to take off. First thing I'm going to do is cut off all this excess. If your zipper pull is out here somewhere, don't cut it off. You have to open up and put it back inside. Okay? And then I'm just going to trim this. It's all kind of raggy on the edge, so I'm just going to trim this down. It's not going to show, but it looks kind of raggy. So I trimmed it down to less than 1/4 of an inch. Get rid of all the. So here we go. We got this opening. So I'm going to reach in, and I want to reach in between the lining. I don't want to go all the way in through where the zipper is. I'm just reaching into the lining. And I always go up to one end and then work it out from there. And just take your time. You probably could get away with maybe a 2-inch opening, but I made it a little bigger so you don't have to fight with it so much. We're going to poke out those corners. And before we go too far, let's double check. Okay, outside fabric, tab, outside fabric, tab, kind of reminds me of the Kleenex holder. Okay, so now we need our marking pen. I'm going to give this let's give this a little press. And I'm not going to get too carried away with pressing on top of my plastic zipper. But let's give this a little press. So make sure your ends are, this is the last chance you get for your ends to be poked out. Last chance. I'm going to bring that over there so I'm not running into the. Okay, is everybody good so far? It's a little warm. Because we're trying to make sure that this seam is not like 3 inches in. Okay, so now we're going to box our corners. So we need our little ruler and a pen so that we can get them all the same. That would be nice. I'm going to move my zipper up a little bit just so it's not in my way. So if I put my finger or your tool in here in the corner, we want to make sure that this seam is in the center of our little teepee. And we want to make sure that both fabrics are up in there. Because remember, you've got 2 fabrics. You've got your outside fabric and your lining fabric. Okay? So I'm going to put a clip like right there. I'm going to come over and get the other one. Clip that. And we'll just do 2 at a time. And what we're going to do is, I'm going to use the digger. Oh, it's got too many lines on it. I want to have a 1/2 inch. I want to be a 1/2 inch down, which means I should be about at the 1 inch mark. Can you see? Oh, wait a minute, let me move this. It's a better side. Here we go. I'm going to move my clips down a little further. Okay, so I want to be at, so here's my 1/2 inch, here's my 1/2 inch. But what will happen is if I'm in the right place, where each edge is right here, that should be at the 1 inch. That should be 1 inch. So there's you're going a 1/2 inch up, but it's a 1/2 inch over, 1/2 inch over. Does that make sense? So you're, well, let me do it on the actual 1 inch mark and then you'll see. And hold it with one hand, not have anything in your way. So can you see on each side here where the teepee is this way? You want an inch across. Am I saying that right? That makes sense? Right, when I have the tip of my corner at the 1/2 inch, each side of my corner should be at the 1 inch. So every one of these lines should be 1 inch across. Okay, so let me do mine. And keep in mind you want that fold to be in the center. Okay, so this line here is 1 inch long. Maybe that's the easiest way to explain it. So from this edge of the fabric to this edge of the fabric is 1 inch by coming a 1/2 inch down. And try to make sure you keep that seam is in the center of the 1 inch. Okay? And we're going to stitch across. So we're going to lock our stitch. So it'd probably be easier if we start, go over, turn, come back and lock it. Because you're hanging on those little edges to go 3 forward, 3 back, and 3 forward and 3 back. You're not moving very far. So let's stitch over. So even if you come on a little bit, this isn't going to have a lot of resistance to it. So even if you come on a little bit, stitch over to the end. We're going to lift the foot, needle down, and turn around and come back and lock it one time. And once you put the needle in the fabric, you can get your clip out of the way. So I'm going to stitch across to the edge, turn around, and stitch back. And I really want to try to stay right on top of the stitching, and I'm right on my line that I drew. Going off the edge. Okay, so I'll do the 3 back. So can you see? I stitched right on my line. So I was on the fabric with my needle, stitched over, turned around and came back, and then I went back 3 to lock. Okay? Stitch down, stitch back. Oh, I keep going off my edge. Then I stitched back 3 and cut my thread. Okay? Oh, so there's my stitching. There's my stitching. I'm not going to trim these off because then I'd have ragged edges. And I find these little tabs, but these little tabs give your corners a little bit extra support. Okay, but so if you need to trim your thread, go ahead. Now we're going to do the other end. The same thing. Make sure that you've got both fabrics up in there, in that corner. So when you line it up, that seam should be right down the middle. There should be equal distance of fabric on each side. Make sure the fabric back here is nice and flat, but also you can feel underneath to make sure the outside fabric is flat. And you'll feel it. I did do one, I put a wrinkle in it, and I could feel the wrinkle, so why I didn't stop is beyond me. And again, we're going to measure the same exact way again. 1/2 inch from the edge, from the tip, should be 1 inch across. And that seam should be right in the middle. And the other side. Hook is in the way. Okay, so I did the same thing again. My mark, my mark. I'm going to sew right on them. So again, I'm going to sew down, turn around, come back, and then 3 stitches back to lock it. And once I've got it laying down, I can get my clip out of the way. My needle should be right on that line that I drew. Turn around and come back. Hopefully sewing on the same line. So let's go back 3. I'm doing the other side. And back 3. Okay, let me move all my stuff out of the way because I am going to give this a little press. Just pressing those little corners. Can't tell which one I did, which one I didn't do. Oh. Trying not to hit my sewing machine. Okay, now we need to take care of this little opening that we have. So I'm going to open my zipper. I'll try to do this. There we go. So I can pull my lining out of the way. And you could have done this before. It might have been easy to do it before we did our box corners. So you have a couple options here. So because we pressed this before, this should line up pretty well and should already be folded. So you could take a little, they make steamer seam, or you can cut a piece about 1/4 inch, and you just put it in there, and then you press it closed. But I'm just going to do some stitching. And I'm going to do it about 1/8 of an inch from the edge. And now I can see where it probably been easier to be, if we'd have done it before the boxing. That's my fault. So I'm going to start a little before and do a locking stitch and go past the little opening a little bit and do a locking stitch. So I'm locking it. And so I just got that little way up the top here. See it right there? Oh, let me trim those little threads. And we're done. We're just going to turn it right side out. And I have my tabs are going up this way. Not sure it makes much difference which one. They kind of tend to want to go that way. And I want to go ahead and press my little corners again, my little box corners. My iron seems giant to this little. Just helps flatten out all that seam we got in there. Just make sure when you do it that you've pushed that up as far as it can go. Okay, there's your little box bag. And my little tab. Now see, I did do that one shorter than this one. And I have to say though, I do like it this length. This is a little harder to grab onto. It's almost the same as my my pull. They're right there together. But if you don't want a big tab hanging off, so this one is, now this is almost an inch showing. They look like little loaves of bread. They remind me of little loaves of bread. Okay, so does anybody have any questions? Oh, thanks, Alberta. So now, if you didn't watch for the sanitizer holder, that was last week. I'm going to guess that you probably could get out of 2 fat quarters, because one's one color on the outside, color on the inside. 2 fat quarters, you should at least get 2 sets. Well, you'll have to let me know if it does more. Then you can get on the reel. So, and it's good if you got odds and ends of fabric. Okay, so we did a tab with the zipper, piece of zipper. So now you can hang on to your little pieces of zipper. I got another one left here. And if you're doing a bigger bag, you might want this to be bigger. So put your little pieces in a little bag for yourself. And there we have it. So I'm just going to wait for a minute. Oh, thanks, Rhonda. I'm just going to wait for a minute to see if anybody has any questions. Get rid of some of my tools here. Put my toys in Put my tools away. Make sure when you take your zipper foot off, see mine's here, it's not where it belongs. It belongs up in its spot. So some of you have the thing in the front where you put your feet. Everybody put your zipper foot away. You'll be crying when you go to try to find that because it's kind of small. Try to be as neat as we can. Okay. All right, so thanks, Cindy. Oh, thanks, Lynn. So I hope all of you make some. And you can always post pictures because everybody likes to see everybody else's fabric. So if you post them to Miss Loreens Schoolhouse Facebook, that's the only place we have to go. And just post them on, I think there was a reminder this morning, a post reminder this morning. So you can post them there. It's just fun to see what everybody uses for fabrics and ideas. If you have an embroidery machine, you can always put an initial or a name there. It's a little hard to do along here, but that would be kind of cool. Or a little initial there. So thanks everybody for joining in. I apologize again for that extra long delay, but it actually worked out nice because I tried out the other computer that maybe we'll just stick with that one because it doesn't seem to have the same issues. And thanks again for joining in. If this is your first time watching, if you would hit the subscribe and click on the little bell to get the reminders of when I go live. Just Thursday night at 7 and generally Saturdays at 1, except for one Saturday a month, which was today. I have to go later, 1:30 after work. And you know the old story I say, give me a thumbs up, but you can skip it. If you want to give me a thumbs down, just skip that, let it go. So again, thanks everyone for joining in. I hope you got to sew along and make a bunch of these. Make a note if you made some notes that it might be easier for you to close the lining before you box the corners. Boxing the corners really should be last. Okay? So thanks again for joining in. Have a rest of the nice weekend. I think we have a winter storm coming this next week. I know I can hear you all booing me. So thanks again. I'll see some of you on Thursday night and others of you next Saturday. I'll try to post the new project Wednesday, Thursday, somewhere in there. And I have no clue what it's going to be. I had an idea. I wrote it down, and I'm not sure where that is now. So again, thanks a lot, everybody, for joining in.